Magandang greetings everyone. My name is Kathleen Akel and my student number is 2102110. The first question is, why is it important to use system analysis and design methodologies when using a building system? Or why not just build a system in whatever way seems to be quick and easy? And what value is provided by using an engineering approach?
Why not just build the system in whatever way seems to be quick and easy? The fast and easy method of creating a system can result in a sloppy or dysfunctional system. This approach merely makes the problem worse than it already is. What value providing by using an engineering approach? This approach merely makes the problem worse than it already is. The engineering method is best suited for developing a system for a hazardous workplace. This method of loss prevention focuses on the physical aspects of the job as potential sources of injury.
The pamantasan ng kabuyaw system is divided into various components known as departments. Each department, the CCE, CEAS, CBAA, and CHAS, has its own distinct identity, despite being related to the other departments, since they all belong to the same institution and strive to function effectively. Graduate students were the product or the output from the input of the senior high school students, college students, technical vocational students, certificate program students, unit earners, cross-registrants, and professors. To distinguish themselves as a dangalang bayan from other schools and students, one must adhere to the boundaries which will stand as the school's policies, rules, and regulations. That includes wearing the appropriate school uniform and a school ID. The college departments, faculty and staff department, human resource, operations department, deans of college, and executive vice president's office were some of the components. Every department has a duty to every student under their supervision, while they are subject to commands from higher authorities such as the college dean or the school president, which is why the components are interrelated. Almost all institutions suffer a financial constraints, along with a restricted number of faculty and staff. With the support and cooperation of each department, the Duterte administration granted the university the opportunity to avail the free college education, or the universal access to quality tertiary education, or UNIFAS, under the Republic Act 10931, becoming one of the country's 76 LCUs to be granted such a privilege to free education. Under such a law, the institution will get a national subsidy from CHED that corresponds to the entire student collection every semester. The school's purpose and mission are to equip individuals with knowledge, skills, and values that will enable them to achieve their professional goals and provide leadership and service for the national development of pamantasan ng kabuyaw through personal dignity, nurturing community, and commitment to excellence as a God-fearing institution respecting people of all faiths. Pamantasan ng kabuyaw adheres to these core values. The registrar and the guidance office can act as the school interfaces since they have access to and control over all students' data and files, together with everything that happens on the school grounds. The environment might include the campus, legislative or administrative measures, students, local ordinances, or the mayor, and the university-related news. Due to their relevant properties, even though these elements are not part of the system, a change in any of them can cause a shift in the state of the system.
ATM's full form is Automated Teller Machine, which is self-service banking outlet. You can withdraw money, check your balance, or even transfer funds. Different banks provide the ATM services by installing cash machines in different parts of the country. You can withdraw money from any of these machines irrespective of whether or you are not an account holder in the same bank. Transactions are either free or bear a nominal charge depending on the banks. Banks usually do not charge for the first 3 to 5 transactions in a month. Once you cross the limit of free transactions, you may have to pay a nominal charge. Also, some banks levy charges if you withdraw money from another bank's ATM which you are not an account holder. To start an operation, a card is inserted in the slot and the PIN is entered. The ATM reads information from the card, in particular, the card number and expiry date. and accepts the PIN from the keyboard input. The card is verified for expiry date and 10 if valid. The card number and the PIN are sent to the bank for the card validation by communication circuit. The bank either sends confirmation or refusal. If confirmation is received, the user is invited to enter transaction type, assuming that the transaction is withdrawal of cash. One more validation is performed to check the amount of nominated is below or equal to the daily limit for withdrawals of $1,000. That the user's weekly withdrawals does not exceed the weekly limit of $5,000 and that the account balance is in credit to cover the withdrawal. If all these are okay, the card is returned. The money is dispensed and the withdrawal receipt is printed with the date, account number, withdrawal amount, and the account balance. The bank's account records are updated to reflect the transaction. If the card has expired and is invalid, the card is retained and the user is invited to contact their bank. If the PIN is wrong more than 3 times, the card is returned and the transaction is cancelled. If the amount entered exceeds the user account's balance or the daily weekly limits, the user is asked to change the amount up to 3 times or cancel the transaction. If a valid transaction amount has not been entered by the third attempt, the card is returned and the transaction is cancelled. As you can see in the diagram, the process of the ATM will start when the customer inserted his or her ATM card to the ATM machine. And the ATM machine will ask the customer his or her PIN number and the machine will validate it and it will proceed to let the customer withdraw the amount he or she wanted to withdraw. After that, the ATM machine gives out the cash that the customer entered and the card will be returned to the owner and the transaction will be completed.
And here is some information about ATM withdrawals work. ATMs are practical because they let users to do quick self-service tasks like deposits, cash withdrawals, bills payments, and account transfers. Cash withdrawals frequently include fees from either the bank where the account is held, the company running the ATM, or both. By using an ATM run by the bank that manage the account, some or all of these costs can be avoided. It may be more expensive to use an ATM outside of the USA, although there are indications of a cash dispenser in Japan in the middle of 1960s. The first ATM debuted at a Barclays Bank branch in London in 1967.
How might prototyping be used as part of the SDLC? A prototype is a development of software, a simple functioning model that is created for testing purposes or as a part of the development process for a product or information system. A rudimentary version of the system is constructed, tested, and then modified as necessary according to the Systems Development Life Cycle or SDLC. Prototyping model from which the whole system or a product can now be developed. The SDLC's feasibility analysis step includes prototyping. The target system is represented by a stimulated prototype that captures its basic feel. This also helps in pre-analyzing the behavior of the target system.
Hi, good evening. My name is Denzel Jushkapasho, and I'll be answering describe the difference in the role of a system analyst in the SDLC versus prototyping. So, SDLC began as the System Development Life Cycle in the 1960s. As Geoffrey Elliott explains in his book, Global Business Information Technology, large corporations developed the model to help manage complex business systems that requires a lot of data processing and analysis. Winston W. Boyce conceived the SDLC as an aid to programming, with 2 stages of analysis and coding. The purpose of an SDLC methodology is to provide IT project managers with the tools to help ensure successful implementation of systems that satisfy university, strategic, and business objectives. So, SDLC is a system development approach which follows step-by-step procedures. The steps includes is feasibility study, analyzing, designing, coding, conductive system test, execution, assessing, reviewing, and maintaining the system. The SDLC defines and outlines a detailed plan with stages or phases that each encompass their own process and deliverables. Adherence to the SDLC enhances development speed and minimizes project risk and costs associated with alternative methods of production. While prototype is defined as a designing and building a scaled down but functional version of desired system that helps you to define the other circumstances that you need to know in a form of friendly user condition or other alternatives. The process of creating a prototype may mean you end up with multiple mock-ups, drawings, and models. The goal is to iteratively bring your idea to life. Prototype models are produced using a variety of techniques and may be fully functional or not at all, depending on the results expected of the prototype process. The most common categories into which prototype technology falls are additive, subtractive, and software groups. A prototype is a functional, not final version of a product or service that business can use for testing, to solicit feedback, and to introduce to investors before officially launching to a wider market. Prototypes are used to determine whether a design will work, to make any necessary adjustments for spending your valuable budget on a mass production. Prototypes can take many forms. Some prototypes are simple wireframes for a website design. Other versions are made from common household items to demonstrate the idea, like steel. Others highly fidelity versions of a final product that could quickly be finalized and brought to market. The type of prototype you create depends on your budget, goals, and expertise. This guide will outline various options for creating a prototype for your product or service. The main difference in SDLC and prototype is that SDLC has a structured workflow and helps organizations quickly and deliver a high-quality software that is tested and ready to deploy. The SDLC has different models such as waterfall, spiral, and agile. Each one includes at least six fundamental phases, while prototype is the basic working model of any software with limited but essential functionality. The prototype does not always follow the same logic as the actual software of the SDLC. And prototype model versus SDLC requires the development team to make an extra effort, which software of the prototyping is used to help user evaluate their developer proposals and test them before implementation. Thank you.